Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. A huge NXT debut, Brock Lesnar challenges Goldberg, and Braun Strowman is brilliant. I'm Oli Davis, and this is the 30th of January 2017 edition of Monday Night Raw in about 4 minutes. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho came out to talk about how good they are to open Raw. KO was a hell of a promo here, almost a babyface. In a rare case of continuity, Owens apparently agreed to a Braun Strowman match once he'd beaten Roman Reigns a month ago. Imagine that! Actual setup and payoff. It's amazing how much more significant matches become when you establish them this way. The first match, however, was the guy with the second longest performance in the Rumble, although he didn't spend half his time having a nap on the outside, beating the Iron Man himself in a very decent opener. That's pretty much clean back-to-back victories over Seth Rollins and Jericho for Sami Zayn, a guy who reportedly has heat backstage. If that's the case, more people should try and get heat. Tony Nese got a bit of a shock win over Mustafa Ali, considering how hard the latter was pushed last week in a standard 5-minute cruiserweight match. The 50-50 booking continued when the Royal Rumble losers of Sheamus, Cesaro and Bayley beat the champions Galanderson and Charlotte in a match that had just one referee. With that many people in there, surely there should be at least 3. One of them must have been hiding at ringside for Raw's other women's segment. The bell seemed to ring on its own accord when Nia Jax was working over Sasha Banks' injured knee. Neville carries himself like such a star, he makes the rest of the cruiserweight division look minor league by default. He's so physically impressive, Rich Swann, TJ Perkins and co look like they're just local competitors. Neville brawled with Swann to build the rematch, but the King really needs someone on his star level to make this division a success. Speaking of success, Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens was the best Raw segment in months. Stay with me here. Strowman immediately looked like a badass, walking straight over to Jericho on commentary and putting him through a table. Owens sold it brilliantly, looking absolutely consumed by fear. But he's now totally alone and defending his Universal title. Having the championship on the line shocked both men out of their previous booking. Braun came across more intently vicious with the Universal title as motivation, being scarily fast chasing Owens around, a far cry from his methodical picking apart of Sami Zayn. And Owens was a wild animal backed into a corner. No Jericho to save the day, no weapons to rely on. His fighting style and the selling of his match from the previous night almost made him feel like an underdog babyface. This is how Owens should be booked, more in line with his debut victory over John Cena. Yes, Roman Reigns came out to give Owens the DQ win, and a lot of people booed because, remember the Rumble. But it kept Owens strong and Braun even better when Corey Graves put over how Strowman was already standing after Reigns' beatdown. Paul Heyman doesn't like Brock Lesnar's butt. The butt being but Goldberg beat him in 1 minute 26 seconds. So to finally settle things, Heyman on his client Brock Lesnar's behalf challenged Goldberg for a match at WrestleMania 33, which means we'll probably start having Goldberg returns promos for Raw, even though he only missed a week. Big Cass and Enzo Amore beat Rusev and Jinder Mahal. I'm hoping if I say no more, the feud will stop. Seth Rollins summed up everyone's feelings in his first segment, saying if Triple H isn't here, he doesn't care about Stephanie McMahon. Thankfully, WWE realized the same and announced Triple H will be here by the end of the show. Seth Rollins waited until the end of Hunter's speech because after 6 months, what's another 10-minute promo to wait for your revenge? Triple H talked about how he plucked Seth Rollins from obscurity. Obscurity, if you didn't know, is actually a wrestling promotion called Ring of Honor, and outlined the 2 warring sides of his personality. The Creator, the man behind NXT and the UK Championship, and the Destroyer, the man who buries younger talents and the UK independent wrestling scene. The NXT reference was key, as when Seth finally came down to confront him, former NXT champion Samoa Joe made his main roster debut and destroyed Rollins like it was awesome. So that was this week's Raw in about 4 minutes. Here's the usual ratings recap from top to bottom in order: core, average, poor, and bore. This week's Raw is core. Yeah, that hasn't happened in a while. I really enjoyed this week's Raw. The Samoa Joe debut was effective, the Brock Lesnar's butt promo was a really great concept, and I can't say enough good things about Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman, although I seem to be in the minority there. What did you all think? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to vote in the poll above my head to give it your own rating. I'll announce the results on tomorrow's WrestleTalk news. If you want to watch my review of the Royal Rumble, or how I somehow predicted Roman Reigns as the number 30 surprise, click the videos to the left and subscribe. I've been Oli Davis, and that was wrestling.